Hello everyone, I'm Karuna and I welcome you all to my channel. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about strings data type. A string is a collection of letters, numbers and special symbols. In Python 3.x, every character stored in a string has a Unicode associated with it. The strings must be enclosed in single quotes or double quotes. So here are few examples of valid strings. A string in Python can be of any size. Yes, you got that right. Any size means any number of characters, even none. So the first example shows you an empty string because inside these single quotes I have not written anything, and that becomes a valid string where this can be assigned to a variable and we can use that in our program. The other examples contain characters as well as some special symbols and combinations of various digits. So before we start working on our string programs, let's understand how input and output can be done for strings. So first, I'll tell you how you can initialize a variable with a string value. So I've created a variable s, and let's say I assign this value Python 3.x to it. Now the string you can see is enclosed in double quotes. To see its value, we can write the name of the variable like this. So Python automatically recognizes the strings which are enclosed in single quotes or double quotes. Now I'm going to use the input function. We have already used input function while entering numbers, whether integers or floating point, but at that time we were converting the values into int or float. So the default value which is returned by the input function is of type string. So now because I want to work on a string value, I will not get it converted into any data type. So I'll write here enter any string, and this will show the prompt in the next line. Now I'm going to write this value. To see it on the screen, you can either write the name of the variable because this is shell mode, or you can take the help of print function and write the name of the variable like this. So this is how input and output can be done for strings. So let me first show you how you can initialize a string to a variable. Here I have a variable s and I initialize it with this value Python 3.8 and then double quotes. To see its value, I'll write the name of the variable and I get this value here. You can see that the answer has been displayed inside single quotes. So Python automatically recognizes the string kind of value, whether it is double quotes or single quotes. Now I'm going to use the input function to get the value from the user during the execution. We have already used input function many a times in our code, but that time the value we wanted to enter was of integer or float, and the default value that is returned by the input function is a string. So we were converting it into integer or float using the int and the float function. So using this input function, I don't need to convert it into any kind of value to get a string because it returns a string value. So this is my prompt for the input function. In the next line, this prompt is shown, waiting for the user input, and here I keep the value. Now to see this value on the screen through a program, you cannot write name because this works only in shell mode. So we will be using the print function and then the name of the variable here inside the brackets so that it can show its value. As name is a variable, so we will not be putting it inside the quotes. So it will display the value stored in variable name. Now we are going to understand how string characters are stored. Every character stored in the string has an index. An index is basically the position of the letters which are stored in the memory, and the characters can have the positive and the negative indices. So let's consider this string word equal to Python 3.8. So all the letters are stored like this, one after the other. On the top I have the string. Next I have the indices in positive, which is the forward index assigned to every letter in the string. And at the bottom I have negative values, which is the backward index assigned to the characters of the string from the right hand side. So the last character of the string, which is 8, is assigned the backward index -1, then -2, and so on. So this will generate indices from 0. That means for the first letter we get 0 as the index. In case of forward index, the positive indices, and the last letter will have the index which is equivalent to length of the string -1. So in Python 3.8 word, we have 9 characters, and the index for the last character is 8, which is equivalent to the length of the string -1. Do you all know that the plus and the multiplication operator, which is star, can also be used on strings? Plus is a concatenation operator, which means it can be used to join 2 or more strings, and star, which is used for multiplication in case of integers, can be used to replicate the values of these strings. This plus operator, which is for concatenation, requires that both the values must be of type string. So let's say if I write here hi, and then I want to add something like number here, let's say 1 2 3 4, then the next value must also be a string. So the value comes out to be this, where the string hi is joined to the string 1 2 3 4. But if I write here hi and then the second value is integer, then this will return into an error, because the concatenation can happen only between string values. Let's see how the multiplication operator works. If I write here Python and I want this Python word to be displayed 5 times, so I'll use this multiplication operator and write the integer. You can see Python, this has been displayed 5 times. So the difference between the concatenation and the replication operator is that with plus you can use only string values, whereas with the multiplication operator we can provide one string and an integer value. Let's see another example of using this multiplication operator. So I write here hello and then /n multiplied by 10. So you can see all of them have been displayed in the next line, because /n works for new line. So every time hello is to be shown, this /n will come in between and the word is printed 10 times in different lines. The last line which has been shown, which is empty, is again because of the /n escape sequence. Next is the membership operator. We've already learned about membership operators, which is not in and in the operators tutorial. Let's see how these operators will work on strings. In basically searches for one value on the value given on the right hand side. So if I am looking for a particular letter in the word given here, so it returns a false value. That means this statement will search for letter A in Python, and if it exists, then true is returned. If it does not, then it returns a false value. And you can also use not in. This not in is the reverse of in operator. So this time it will return a true value. So I'm going to write a code here which will use the in operator to look for vowels in a variable. So here I have variable name and I get the value from the user. In Python, I can simply write the name of the variable to get its value like this, as I've already shown. But as there are many characters in the string and it is iteratable, that means I can look for different characters in the string, I can also use a for loop. So a simple for loop to iterate through your string is this, and I write print I. Now in this case, I variable will get different characters of the variable name, and in the print function I'm printing those letters. Let's see how the code gives the output. So it's asking for the value and I give this. So all the characters of the string are displayed in different lines. Now another way to print all these characters is using the range function. So I write here range. As this range you already know can accept only integer values, so I'll take the help of len function, which gives me the number of characters in the variable. So variable I will get the integer values this time. So I entered the string value as amazing, which has 7 characters. So this len function will give me 7, starts from 0 and then 7 minus 1. That means variable I will get all the digits from 0 to 6. Let's write this word again. So you can see it prints the integer values. Now these values we can consider as the position of every character in this string, and it is also known as index. So using this method you can even print the indices of all the characters of the string. And to print the characters of the string, I am going to write name, and then I'll be using the subscript method. So for this I'll use square brackets. I need to put the index here as I am getting different indices in variable I. So I'll write here name of I. Let's see how this works. So now every character has its index on the left hand side, and this loop prints the digits, which are the indices and the characters of the string. You can even print an individual character by using this method. So let's say I don't want to print all the characters and would want to display only a particular character using the subscript method. I can also write an index like this. So now if I run the code, it gives me letter O, which is stored at index 4. So that works like 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is how I get letter O. Now let's learn about string slicing, a very important and a unique concept of Python. Now string slicing is basically getting different parts from the string. So a part of a string is also called a slice or a substring. Strings are sliced using a range of indices, just like what we were doing in the range function. We provide the start, stop and the step value. So using slicing, you can access multiple characters of the string, whereas with the subscript method, we could access one particular character at a time. Slicing is done with the help of colon operator, which works as a separator between the start and the end of the range. Like you can see an example here, it is 6:10. So it will start from the 6th letter of the string and will go till the 9th character. So just like in range function, what you were using in your for loops, so the stop value is not included. So here also 10 is not included. It will give me the values from letter 6 till letter 9. Now let's work with some slicing statements here. So first I'm going to declare my string here. Let's say I write here s equal to, and I write my string like this. Now one very simple statement I'll write here for slicing. So I write here s square brackets 2 colon and then square brackets. Now in this case I have specified the start value, but the stop is missing. So it will pick up the letters from index 2 in extraordinary. So the indices are assigned from 0. So it's 0, 1 and 2. So the index of letter T is 2. As the stop value is not specified, so it will take up all the letters till the length of the string and they will be displayed. Now another example can be this. Now in this case, start is not specified but stop is mentioned. So it will automatically take the values from the 0th index. So 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on. Then the last value for the stop will be 9 minus 1, which is 8. So it picks up the letters till the 8th index, which is letter D, as 9 is the index of letter I. So it gives me this as the output. Let's work with more indices like this, where I specify the start and the step value both. So I write here this Now in this case, you can see the string has 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4th is the index for this letter. Spaces also included 5, 6, 7, 8 and then 9. So 10 minus 1, which is 9. So it gives me the letters which have been displayed here. There can be another way of using slicing. As I've already told you that the characters of the string are assigned positive as well as negative indices. Let's see how we can work with the negative indices. So just like the range function, you specify start, stop and step value. Let's see how step value will work here. So I'll mention here 0, colon and then 2. Now in this case, I've specified the start value. Stop is missing, so I've used colon for it. Then again a colon to specify the step value. And this is how it works. So it is going to return the characters starting from the 0th index with a step of 2, and then letters are displayed till the length of the string. So let me show you how this works. So it picks up the character from here, increments for 2, and the next letter is this, and then spaces left, O, then D, and then N, and the last character is R. This is how it works. So if you do not want to specify the stop value, you can leave it like this. So we can specify any integer in the step value also. So what we saw in the last example was that the stop value was missing. So it automatically goes till the length of the string. So let's say if I do not want to specify the start and the stop value, so I can just write colon in place of them. So one is for the start, the other one is for stop. And if I mention a step value like 3, so it starts from 0th index, goes till the last character, that is Y in case of the above string, and with an increment of 3, it displays the characters here. Now let's see another example. Till now we have been using only positive values in the start, stop and step places. So let's say if I want the characters in reverse order and I write something like this. Now you can see start is missing, stop is missing, and only -1, which is considered as the step value, will automatically let this statement decide which is the start and the stop value. So this time it automatically starts from the last character, goes till the index 0, giving all the letters of the word stored in variable s in the reverse order. So this is how we can use this statement to get the reverse of any string. Now if you want to specify start and stop, make sure that the first value that you write, that means in the start, must be a number which is greater than the number specified for the stop value. Now in this case, it starts from the letter at 8th index. I'll just show you my string once again. So you can see 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it starts from letter D. As -1 is specified, so it will move towards the left with a decrement of -1. That means starts giving the letters in decreasing order. So it picks up D, R, O, space, R and then A. As 2 is mentioned, so it will pick up the character just before that position which has been mentioned in the stop value, and therefore the answer returned for the above statement is this. So this is how we can use the positive and the negative values to get some part of the string. Now I'm going to write some negative indices considering the backward index of the string. So let's say if I write I want to start from -1, then I want to go till -6, and I get something like this. Now please remember that whenever you specify the index for slicing, it will always pick up the characters and by default starts moving towards the right, because the step value is not mentioned here. So that's why there is an increment of a +1. But if I specify a number like this, now you can see in case of negative indices, the number which has been specified here is again greater than the number specified for the stop value. Now this -1 will ensure that the characters have been fetched in the reverse order. So -1 character stored at -1 position is y. It will take the characters from -1, -2, -3, -4 and -5. So one character before the stop value. So -5 is the index for letter I, and therefore we get this value. So while writing the indices for the negative or the positive values, whenever you want in reverse order, you have to ensure that the first value is greater than the second value. That means start must be greater than the stop value. So let's say if I write here -1 colon and I do not write the stop value, and let's say I ignore the step value also, as I already mentioned that the characters will be fetched from the string and they will move towards the right. So in this case, it just picks up one character as it is the last character of the string. So it will display only this character. Now I hope you have understood the subscript method. Let's get back to our code for using the in operator to look for vowels in the string. So I'll write here for I in name. This can also be done using the subscript method, like you write range and then len name. And I'll write here if I in, as I know all the vowels here, so I'll write here A, E, I, O, U. This will look for small case letters only. And I would like to print these vowels. So let's see how the code works. Now the string contains vowels which are O, E and U. So my code here looks for these letters and they are checked with variable I, and using this in membership operator we can look for all the vowels. If you want, you can also specify the capital vowels also, like this. So next we have the comparison operators, which are also known as relational operators, like less than equal to, greater than equal to, equal to and not equal to. We have used them with numbers, but they can be used on strings also. The comparison using these operators are based on the standard character by character comparison rule using the ASCII code, or I would say Unicode in Python. So let's see how we can compare two string values using these relational operators. So let me first compare letter A, which is in small, and I write here equal to capital A. Now this returns a false value because the ASCII code of small a is 97. This I've already explained in my last tutorial of nested loops, where we were working on the pattern questions. Now I'll show you one more time how you can find the ASCII code of a given letter. So this can be done using the ORD function, which returns the ordinal value. So I'll write here letter A and it gives me 97. And we can also check the ASCII code of capital A, which is 65. So it checks 97 equal to 65. So obviously small letter A is not equivalent to capital letter A. Now let's say if I write here A, B, C and greater than A, and then I write B and then C. Now in this case, the comparison will be done letter by letter. So it is going to check letter A greater than letter A. So on the left and right side, both of them are in small case, and the ASCII codes of these letters is same. So next it will check letter B. Now letter B's ASCII code, small letter B ASCII code is 98, which is greater than the ASCII code of capital B. So therefore the string ABC is greater than the string written on the right hand side, which includes the letters A, capital B and then C. There can be different examples for it. Let's say I write here Delhi and greater than equal to D capital, ELH, and the last letter I is capital. So it will check for the greater than equal to condition this time. Now it returns true. The reason is it is checking whether all the characters here on the left hand side are greater than the characters of the string on the right hand side. Now, till these characters, there is no problem because all of the characters are equal. Now, the last letter, which is small I, is compared with capital I, and as I told you, the ASCII codes of small case letters is greater than the ASCII code of capital letters. So this will be returning a true value, whereas this string is smaller than the string written on the left hand side. Thank you so much for watching this tutorial. The link for the worksheet can be found in the description box. If you have any doubts related to the concepts explained here, please feel free to mention in the comment section and I would be happy to help you. If you like the video, please click on the like button, subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for latest updates. Till then, keep working with smile.